I'm now going to create a simplified side surface. And what we're aiming for here is to have the roof surface, this angled cantrail, and then the side. So from the side view, I've got my original centerline curves, the outside edge of the roof, and now I'll need to create this third line. And I'll also create these wheel arch offsets, which will allow space for the blends from the wheel arch into the body side. So I'll turn that example off and bring back the curves we've already built for the centerline, the side, and the wheel arch. And I'll continue to work the way I did before, just using the offset tool in the side view. And I'll just do these by eye for now, using Mike's polygon model as a guide. And I may want to use the curve stretch tool to tidy up this rear edge, for example, and to get the A-pillar a bit wider at the base. And notice here that I'm not bothering to trim these curves back, as that will happen anyway when I trim the surface. So I'll offset the wheel arches too, and I'll use Shift to get both together. And I'm pretty much guessing for now. This offset will be something I come back to and refine as the car takes shape. So I'll do the same at the back. But on this one here, I don't really want it to go down like that. So I'll just detach it. And I'll use the Control key to snap to the edit points, even though I can't see them. And it's grouped because of the offset, so I'll just use Pick Curve to select it and delete it. So now I could set the pivot point and then just use non-P scale to flatten out that end a bit. So now I've got enough curves that define a closed area with no gaps that will allow me to trim. So now I need to create a surface. I'll keep it simple by using a plane again and scaling it just to being larger than the region that my curves define. And just like I did with the wheel arch, I'll move that surface out and then start to give it some shape. Now at this stage I'm not taking into account any technical requirements of the side glass or any shoulder details, but I'm just keen to get some early surfaces into place so that I can start to see the design emerging. And these will get refined and rebuilt as the design develops. So I've got a basic sweep here along the side, and it'll probably have some curvature in the top view. But if I pick and move these CVs, the surface is curving too much. So I probably need more CVs. So I'm just going to take a copy of this one and move it down so that I can show you two different approaches. So here I could increase the number of spans, and that will give me 6 rows of CVs. Or I could say increase the degree, which again gives me 6 rows of CVs, but distributed across this single span. So if I now pick these end CVs, then in the single span the whole surface is highlighted in white, but only a third is highlighted on the multispan. And white shows the part of the surface that will be modified when I move the selected CVs. So you can see that the variation is softer on the single span and much more localized on the multispan. So this span in the middle has held the surface flat. So it's up to you, but I'm going to keep using the single span as it'll be smoother. So that looks okay, but actually it's difficult to know until I've done the trim. So now I'll go into my side view and I can use the project tool again. But this time I'll just use the view direction. And I'll also check that it's set to curves on surfaces, not curves. So I'll pick the surface and go, and then pick all these curves for the boundary. And project. So I'll just pick the surface and check that the curves on surface are there. And then I can trim. Now this pink cross just shows the open end of a curve on surface, which is useful because it can highlight gaps. But it looks like we're okay, so I'm just going to say keep that central part. And you can see with the wheel arch surfaces and the roof, I'm starting to see the volumes of the car. So there'll be a lot more work to do on this side surface. But that's good enough for now, and it allows us to start building the connecting surfaces in the next section.